Hello guys, welcome to Enid Talks. I want to welcome you guys back to the channel, and if this is your first time, welcome to the madness. So today we only have
Santiago Anquino,
summoning JJ Anquino, and my name is Naomi. So Naomi, no, I'm not even gonna say it because then that's gonna be chaotic.
I miss JJ.
We can say this is the first time that JJ is missing. Sometimes it's just me and JJ, and then us three. It has never been in the history of Enid Talk, just me and Santiago.
How is he gonna leave me alone with you?
Right? I said the same thing. So, yo le voy a quitar el bloque de Santi y JJ. Ahora va a hacer el bloque de Naomi y Santi. Like, I don't know how it's gonna go, but after a year and some months, they left me with this thing.
This thing is wild. So, what's today's topic?
So I want to talk a little bit about everything, okay?
Oh.
So let's try to condense this into 30 minutes. First of all, we want to give you a run through. The topic for today was how to be a better Christian. But thing is, like, we already know some of the thing that makes you a better Christian. So we're going to give you some pointers, and then I have a couple questions to Santiago, ya que nadie conoce a Santiago en realidad. Me conocen a mí, conocen a JJ. Pero ¿quién es este? You know? ¿Quién es Santiago? Y si le importa, ahora lo van a saber. So, how to be a better Christian. Para darle un poquito de condensamiento. I don't think that's a word. Para darle un poquito de, I'm going to use it, condensamiento cristiano. So, para ti, ¿cómo tú puedes ser un mejor cristiano?
So, from a profeta, from a PK, from my pastor, my youth pastor, Carlos Eliezer Ureña Santos.
The whole government out there.
Manantial, what do we talk about? Individualism or communism?
Communism? It is not communism. ¿Cómo es colectivismo? Colectivo. Individualismo y colectivo. Not communism.
Potato. And then we talked about like the difference, and we did a small little test. We might leave in the link below so you guys can see what you guys are.
It was a very interesting test. It was cool.
And it was funny, and it is while we started talking about what we are. We each gave our results, and we just talked about it. And then we talked about what should Christians be. And I still stand firm on my point is when you first become Christian, you have to think individualistic. It's you, like it's your time for growth. You can't really give what you don't have. So though I say the first 1 to 3 years is like personal growth with you and God, getting a better relationship, being in la intimidad. Oh, sorry. That Dr. Pepper was
Dr. Pepper.
And time for you like to grow your talents to see what God wants to use you. After that period, that sweet period of you growing, then that's when you become a communist.
Oh my God. Colectivo.
I don't know the word in English right now.
Say it in Spanish. Colectivo.
I'm not gonna say that either. Santiago Gringo here. But after this grace period of us like having a personal growth, that's when we should start becoming more think about other people. In terms of we have to serve, like whether it's Ministerio de Limpieza, Cocina, Translation, Media, Worship, whatever ministry God calls you towards. That's when we have to start to become more like considerate of what other people need. We need to evangelize and stuff, but we cannot forget that we always need that personal growth with God. Like no matter what, we cannot think about other people before us, because if we don't grow, what are we giving? So that's my perspective on
how to be a better Christian. I feel like there's so many things we can tell you guys how to be a better Christian. Literally what he said is super important, porque si no te pones tiempo para ti, ¿cómo tienes tiempo para otro? If we don't grow lo individual, metiéndonos con Dios, teniendo intimidad con Dios y estar ahí leyendo la Biblia y todo. How are we gonna do this? Basically, that's what he meant. Like, ¿qué le vamos a dar a ustedes? ¿Qué palabra? ¿Qué rema? ¿Qué le vamos a dar a ustedes? So, I agree with that 100%. Also, the usual things. That's why this topic is so smooth. And you can make it into, like, divide it into things. But, like, obviously, si tú no estás hablando con Dios, ¿qué estás haciendo? Like, si tú no estás orando, sacando tiempo, ¿qué estás haciendo? Nosotros tuvimos un evento el noviembre 15. First of all, Enid Talks got invited. Like, we got invited to preach. To do a live episode. To preach. Super exciting. We need JJ to talk about all our, like, experience. It was more than amazing, literal. No lo merecemos el tratamiento que nos dieron. Super feliz. Not gonna talk about it without JJ just because I don't want to go through an emotional thing because I will cry again. But
breaking news live from Enid Talks. Naomi and Enid crying.
Nobody has seen that. Not a lot of people have seen that. No. Pero nosotros tenemos que literal meternos en oración, y una de las preguntas en ese evento fue like, how long do you guys pray, or how often do you guys pray? And it was very funny. We were going to answer, but we didn't have the time. Pero es una pregunta que tiene que hacer todos los cristianos, like, how often do you pray? How often do you talk to God? Porque es muy importante. Si tú no le estás hablando a Dios, no le estás pidiendo rema, no le estás pidiendo que te use, no estás provocando la presencia, then what are you doing? Like, are you really a Christian when you don't have a relationship with God? Because Christians is everybody. Everybody se da en el pecho, yo soy cristiano. Pero, en realidad, tiene una relación con Dios. Literal, leyendo la palabra también. Like, si tú no lees la palabra, like, if we don't read the Bible, like, what are we teaching? Like, literalmente yo te puedo decir que Moisés se lo comió el pez, la ballena, and then you're gonna believe me. Saúl mató a David. Like, literally, if you don't know the Bible, how you gonna fact check me? You can't, you know? So, we need to read the Bible y estar ahí para primeramente buscar las promesas que Dios nos tiene, buscar la palabra que Dios quiere para nosotros y nosotros poder transportar eso a ustedes. Y ahí está como que todo, like, Dios nos dio eso como un guía, like, how you know how to be a better Christian if you don't know how to be a Christian. Like, it tells you right there. Number 1, do not judge. And also, like, hay otras cosas, uno sabe, tienes que diezmar el 10%, mi gente. Muchos codos que están ahí tienen que diezmar el 10%, es bíblico. No digan que está en el Viejo Testamento and that's what you want to do it. No, you have to do it. Go to church. Tú sabes, todas estas cosas. Ten tiempo para alabar a Dios y at the end of the day, have a relationship with God. O sea, ten una relación con el Señor. Y pedí y os dará. Pedí y os dará. Pídele todo al Señor que Dios te va a revelar. En serio. Por eso te digo, es un tópico que es bien fácil. Yo le voy a poner en la lista que me dio el profeta ChatGPT. Para que usted vea que literal, you can even Google it. You can put in ChatGPT how to be a better Christian, and ChatGPT will tell you step by step in the nicest way possible how you can be a better Christian. En este corte que vamos a tener ahora, vamos a hablar sobre el profeta Santiago Cañas Jiménez.
Salmista.
El salmista, profeta, evangelista.
Sang at the event. If you watched the event live or were there in person, you would have heard my vocal cords.
Poor y'all. I'm going to put a clip so you guys can hear him. Dr. Peppa break.
La tierra canta.
Just like that. So, I met Santiago when he was what?
9.
You were 9.
9, 10.
So that was
11
years ago. So I was, do the math for me, 15?
Yeah, 15, 16.
So don't call me old. So I met Santiago when he was 9. I was his teacher. I was his teacher in church. Yo tenía 15 años, ya veo. Y literal, Santiago era un Santiago. Un niño más en la iglesia que molestaba a veces. Pero Santiago era bien inteligente, completamente. Eso sí lo voy a decir. Santiago era bien inteligente. Era súper inteligente. So, throughout the years, out of all the kids, Santiago era el único que se nos pegó al grupo de nuestra edad completamente. Like, I remember what, you were like 13 hanging out with us?
Yeah, 12.
Hanging out with us until like 12, 1 in the morning. Like, literally, los cristianos no beben, fuman, ni hacen nada, ni salen a discoteca, but we love to eat. That's one thing that we love to eat. So we used to steal Santiago. We used to go to McDonald's. We used to go to like this place que hacían fritanga, and we just steal him until like 2 in the morning.
Just to eat.
Just to eat. And literally, that's how it started everything with Santiago. We always saw Santiago as a little brother after he graduated from the phase of being like a little kid. Y literal, yo no... Si ustedes me preguntan cómo diantre, no sé. Because I'm 26, Santiago's 20. Like, sometimes they make the TikToks of the different ages. That is him. Like, when your best friend would have told, like, that is him. No sé qué pasó. Pero quiero que sepan un poquito de él. Yo creo que Santiago tiene un testimonio bien bonito. Como todo el mundo sabe, ya saben cómo, si lo quieren buscar, se lo voy a poner. Cuando yo hable de mi gap y de mi proceso, Jay ya habló de su gap y su proceso, pero no sabemos de Santiago. No somos ángeles, no somos perfectos y todos tuvimos un proceso que pasar. Pero, just, let's hear about him. So, Santiago. Dile a todas esas personas allá para que they can finally know dónde tú naciste.
For those who don't know, este gringo, Santiago, yo nací en Medellín, Colombia. And to clarify, I'm Colombian, but I came here around 1 or 2 years old. So
that's why he's a gringo.
I'm American.
Literally. So at what age did you start going to church?
I started around 9, from what I remember. That was when I first went to church. My family actually used to be Catholic, and I never liked the church, to be honest. Like, I found it boring. Like, while we were sitting in the Catholic masses, I'd usually get the ofrendas offering, like sobres, and I just start coloring or like drawing. And I like never liked church. Like, we've been to a couple Christian churches with my mom, but I just like never enjoyed it. Like, it's like all boring, like worship, sit down, preaching. It was mad boring. And then I remember one day mom was like, oh, like I got invited to, my mom works at a school. One of the kids from the school actually went to Manantial de Vida. And like told my mom, it's like, hey, like come to my church. So my mom was like, oh, like there's this new Christian church. We went on Wednesday. There's a new Christian church. Like it's like a service and all, but they take the kids and they do something fun. So at this point, I'm like, same old thing. So I'm like, might as well go. First hour in, it was not it. Like, I did not like it. It was like, they had me go upstairs, the whole worship. Like, I wasn't a huge music person back then. So, like, even then, it was like, oh, like, las canciones rápido, los lentes. And then I'm like, they're bored, like, out my mind. I'm like, never again. I'm never coming. And out of nowhere, they say, hey, come with us. So, like, you know, at that time, while their administration, they take all the kids. I'm like, okay. And I remember my first teacher was Yadira Godoy. And it was actually pretty fun. I actually, like, for the first time within a church, I actually enjoyed the time. Where, like, we learned the word, colored. We played a couple small games in the basement. Like, back then, it wasn't fully constructed. We had little, like, walls as the, like, dividers. Sí. So, like, it was definitely something new. And, like, oh, we have a special guest, Santiago. And I was like, oh, hi, Santiago.
They make you feel mad special.
Yeah. And I'm like, for the first time within the church, I actually enjoyed it. And when I came on, I'm like, Mom, like, they told me they have a service on Sunday. We have to come. And my mom was happy. So, that Sunday, we went to church. I liked even more because we were downstairs the whole time. So, we did the fast songs, slow songs, but, like little kid versions. And that was the start of Little Santi in Manantial de Vida.
Okay. And during all this time, do you want to talk about a little bit about your childhood? Because I did. In my episode, I think JJ also. We talked about like growing up, if it was hard or not. Like yo estaba compartiendo. Like para mí no fue tan difícil. Pero lo más difícil fue, you know, growing up without a father and all of that. How was your childhood?
So my childhood gets, you know, kind of complicated for the fact that it wasn't bad, but it took me a long time to process. It wasn't exactly like good as I thought it was, for the fact that, you know, coming to America, like my parents, they work 2 jobs, morning and night. So they usually leave me with baby, like daycare and then babysitter. And it was like that for a while. And then mom eventually left one of the jobs because we could at the time. Uh, but still, I usually spend a lot of time in my room, like watching TV or doing other stuff. So I never like had a close connection with my parents as much as other children do. Like some people like, oh, like they confide in their parents for anything, but like my whole life I'm like, should I not? And there's certain things, like I trust my parents a lot more, but like a couple of years ago, like I wouldn't, like I'd be either too scared or like wouldn't know how to talk to them, like if they're like complete strangers. So I mean, that kind of childhood, it kind of did affect me a little bit. Then when weekends came, like that was my one time to actually like spend time with my family, mom and dad. We usually like went out here and there with the money we had. And I mean, that was pretty much it. It was like an average like childhood. It was like good, like they give me my stuff. Not as spoiled as my sister. My sister gets everything now. But you know, sometimes I get jealous, but at the same time I'm happy. She got the childhood I never got, like all the toys she could ever want, all the birthdays she could have. But like again, I'm not complaining about my childhood for the goodness of from the grace of God. I was able to enjoy all of the things I had. I'm very good at making friends. So like when my parents took me to the mall, I always made a new friend. I'm like, Mom, meet my new best friend. Like we come here next Saturday, we're gonna meet up. And I was always just naturally good at making friends. So
That's where you got like 100 friends.
yeah, 100 friends. I'm just, usually it was within people like, you know, my age, but then it expanded. Like right now I tend to make better friends with people who are older than me. Like a lot of my coworkers within my department and without the facilities of my department, other departments, I naturally make good friends. And then they're like, yo, Santi, and like we always talk and stuff. So like I don't know, it like pure like, I don't know how you do it. I'm like, it just comes naturally to me. Like it's nothing like I like prepared for, like ChatGPT how to make friends.
You didn't have ChatGPT back then. No, and it's just like interesting how you say it, because it's just like I feel like in this panel I literally have connected that. Like tú literalmente, yo no sabía, ¿sabes? Nunca sabía mucho de eso de tu niñez, de que, ¿sabes? No tuviste una conexión con ellos. And it's just like, maybe that's why. That was like the theory in my head. I was like, maybe that's why he's just like so outgoing and things like that. Porque literalmente como no lo pudo tener en su bubble, like lo tiene en todos lados. But I'm glad, como tú lo dices, like ahora tiene la confianza y todo con tus padres. ¿Cuándo fue la primera vez que realizaste, okay, this is what I like en la iglesia, this is the religion that this is the religion that I want? Como que cuando tú tuviste la primera conexión con el Señor.
The first time I could actually like remember detail by detail, it hadn't happened for years. Like, you know, it was always like, oh, I grew up in the church. Like, oh, Wednesdays. Oh, like, it's like, oh, pretty fun. I enjoy it. First connection I've had encounter with the Holy Spirit that I had was at a men's retreat. I was maybe 12, maybe 13. We went to this place. It was like a retiro. And we were in a time of prayer. We're like bowed down, and I felt the presence over me. And I'm like, you know, at the time, like when you're not sure, you're always like, oh God, like give me a sign. And literally it was a cloudy day. Like it was like December, usually men's retreat, or like winter. It was a very cloudy day, freezing outside, and we're in a place like full with curtains. And when I finished praying and looked up, there was out of all cloudiness, there was one ray of sunshine that just came upon me directly. And there was curtains. So like I'm like, how? And I felt the Lord's presence in that moment. And that was like, and I remember that was the first time I cried in a prayer. And I'm like, yeah, this is something I'd want to stick to. I mean, we had our little time apart, but
Yeah, we can talk about it. So, ¿a qué edad te bautizaste?
I baptized at 13 years old.
¿Y a qué edad empezaste tu ministerio y por qué lo empezaste?
So that's also a long answer. I started off on the drums. Little people don't know that or remember that. When I was around 10 or 11, I started off the drums. I had Elised teach me. And I played for one kids event. And then a year later, I played for a talent show. But like I wasn't too into music at the time. So I stopped. I didn't really practice that much. Mom was like, "Oh, you have drum set, but like you don't practice." So we ended up giving the drum set away. I didn't really care because I wasn't too into music. And I remember when I was around same year 11, I saw piano. I'm like, shoot, like this is a cool instrument. So like during band at school, like "Happy Birthday to You," or like some small songs like that. But a testimony that only my ministry knows was one time during worship at church. God gave me like a vision. It was me playing piano, and it was Jose on the drums, Alex on bass when he was in the ministry at the time, giving a guitar, 80, which was the old worship leader, Marcela, and Loy Beth were playing Que Se Abra el Cielo. I'm like, I thought it was like, it's like one of those dreams, like, oh yeah, like I hope to be there one day. But then Eliezer started teaching me like musical theory concepts. He taught me for a couple months every Sunday. So I'm like, that's already a long day. He was making that sacrifice because it's like a long service. At the time, it was like two half hours. So after you take the time to teach me, and I remember I got invited to the ministry by 80. So I had started around September, October, practicing with them. Jose was with me at the time, and it was like a couple students. They took a couple students, but in the end, like 4 months in, I was the only one left. And I had a good amount of songs, like 6 songs. I remember 80 would always be like, "Yo, I'm gonna talk to the pastor, see if you could play next Wednesday." And it went like that for 4 more months. I'm like, is this my thing? And April 1st, 2018 was when I got baptized. And the following Wednesday on April 4th, that was the first time I played. And it was a glorious time. They prayed over me. If you go to M de Vida, BBT, on Instagram, you'll probably find an old picture of me. And I stayed in the ministry. And like 2-3 months after that, literally the same vision I had from over a year ago of me playing that song Que Se Abra el Cielo with other people, it literally happened in that exact moment. And I just looked around. I'm like, that's wild. And I just knew that was my calling, my ministry. And I've been on the piano ever since.
It's crazy. Tú sabes, Dios me tiene que dar una visión así. I think this is what I'm meant for. Like, a veces me pongo like, I should be singing, but Dios no me dio el don. Pero está bien. Que, tú sabes, estar creciendo en la iglesia no es fácil, lo sabemos. Lo sabemos, todos crecimos en la iglesia. No fue fácil, han sido muchas altas y bajas y cosas así. Todos nosotros en este panel tuvimos un gap. If you want to talk about it, I talk about a little bit about mine.
No. Imagine.
Never mind.
No, I'm kidding.
No, but like, tú sabes, estuviste todo este tiempo, desde los 12 años, de los 12 años tocando el piano. ¿Cuándo fue el tiempo de que tomaste la decisión de apartarte? ¿Y por qué?
It was senior year of high school. It was a long process. You know how I always said I made friends who are older than me? Freshman year, I went to Notre Dame High School in Fairfield, and I knew no one. But that same year, I made friends in every single grade. But the people I made friends with the most were a class above me, and I had a whole friend group. Senior year, they all graduated, so I was basically left alone with my class. Even though I knew some people, I wasn't as close, so it really hurt. And in November, a little situation happened. Basically, I got taken out of school for a while, and people were talking their talk, basically talking bad about me, and it affected me a lot. And Elise was there, like people were there praying for me. It was very low key, but I didn't process how much it affected me until months later, where I started seeing myself slowly drift from the Lord. So I was still playing, but I didn't fully process I shouldn't have been playing. And I had gotten myself into a musical playing Pugsley in the Addams Family, and there were some pretty graphic, not Christian scenes in that musical. And in May, Eliezer had came to support me, of course, but the following Thursday, he gave me the talk and says I should take a break. But since I had so much built-in resentment that I don't really talk about my emotions with people a lot. And there's like, if something happens to me or anything, I very keep it to myself. Like, I don't talk to anyone. I'm just that kind of person. I just keep it all bottled up. And at that moment, I said, yeah, no, this is the end. Like, this is the end of this dream. Like, this perfect reality of me. Yeah, no, like, I'm done with this. So from that moment, he was still expecting me to come to practice. I didn't come to practice. Church, I had gone to church, but I had a serious face. And people said, like, oh, why so serious? I'm like, no, I'm okay. But like deep down inside, I wasn't okay. And I still hadn't fully processed that. Where I thought my identity for those who watched live was completely different. I thought I was someone who I was not. I thought I'm like, no, I'm the serious guy. I'm like, I don't need friends. I could be by myself.
Yeah.
And then little by little, I left the church for a while. Or like, I don't want to know anything of the Lord. And I'd spend some time, like some nights crying, not knowing why. And even in secret, God would still call me, like would wake me up, and I would secretly listen to like worship music. One that always impacted me was Perdóname by Barak. But even listening to that, it made me cry and like impacted me, but I didn't want anything to do with the church. It was the devil trying to attack me with my emotions to not want to go back. So it was like that for a while until Cesar. I came one Sunday reluctant. And it was funny because that same Sunday, I had gotten into an argument with my parents at 5 a.m. and I almost ran away. I was on the verge of running away. Literally, my dad caught me like literally by a hair. He grabbed my wrist and pulled me back. And if he had caught me in that moment, I would have ran. I went back crying. I'm like, I hate you guys. Like, I don't want anything to do with you guys.
Wow.
And I don't know why, but I got up and took a shower anyways. So my parents were freaking out. They're like, yo, get ready. Like, put on clothes. He might try to run again. And now I'm like, let's go to church. I don't know why. Like, I generally don't know why. That same Sunday, it was Cesar preaching. And he's like, if you had everything, if I had given you my ministry, why would you give it up for nothing? And that like was like my like breaking. Like, I cried. Cesar had seen me and talked to me afterwards, but even Lisette out of nowhere came and started praying for me. And it, like, that was probably my turning point to where it was a journey of self-reflecting in la intimidad, praying, and talking to people. For once in my life, just talking to people about everything. And little by little, I started coming back to the ministry. And he said to give me the final warning. He said, if I don't come back by this date, he's going to remove me from the ministry completely. Like, he had never lost hope. He had not fully removed me. And in August, that's when I came back. And 3 months of sitting down just there watching, it hurt, to be honest. I mean, but it was like you deserved it. Like,
Yeah.
You abandoned your ministry. And every time I was on Sunday just watching them, it hurt. But I still persevered. I'm like, I need to do this. Like, I want to regain my place back. And then that October, Elise had fought for me to serve at a women's conference, but taking pictures. That same month, I served my first time for the ministry. Everyone's happy. I remember Bernardo. He usually opened up the church at the time. He saw me on that piano. I never seen this man run in my life. He came running, que Santiago. He hugged me. He prayed for me. Everyone was in shock because it's like you're missed. And it impacted me a lot because I felt like a replacement. Like I could be replaced. Like I'm like just anyone, a random person. But from there, it was good. And then that same November, that's when I got the prophecy that I was going to go to the nations.
That we're going to talk about. Give me a second. That's another question.
There we go. And that's basically it.
Gracias a Dios otra vez, que no duró mucho. ¿Cuál ha sido? Ahí la pregunta. ¿Cuál ha sido una de las profecías que te ha marcado la vida?
Someone talked about it now. And it was la promesa de I was going to go to the nations to play piano. We're going to put the clip here.
No, y que nosotros vamos a ser sus escuderos. A veces no, él ahora está cumpliendo parte de esa profecía que él va a contar y nos deja atrás, pero cuando vaya a las naciones, we're going to be there.
So, receiving that word was extremely impactful, and it was always a reminder. Because even though, I came back and I've been with the ministry, I felt out of place. Was this a good idea? Coming back, should I have come back to the ministry, or should I just stay out and just be a regular member? And that prophecy was a real impactful moment for me, which was the first time I've cried in front of the whole church.
I know how that feels.
And he drenched me with oil. And it honestly left me speechless. And I still have that shirt to this day, not washed. So
soaked with oil.
Soaked with oil, not washed. I still have that. And anytime I feel down, I always look at that. And it's always a promise that I will always be a worshiper no matter what. And to talk about how that prophecy is slowly coming true, the following year, in April 2nd or 3rd, I had the opportunity to play with Josh and Waleska Morales from Miel San Marcos with a couple people from Jersey, New York. And that was a beyond great honor, because honestly, Miel San Marcos is probably my favorite group. You see my Spotify Wrapped, and one of their albums is definitely on that list. And then this year alone, I had the opportunity to play for a women's conference in Stanford. I was also invited to play in New York for a youth night. And then I also went to New Jersey, Elizabeth, at another church that's not a Nazarene, to play for another youth night. And being invited to all these events, it's super motivating. Not only because I get to play with different people and have the privilege to minister with other people, but it's realization that this prophecy is going to come true. And I have to be focused and always stay ready, not only physically with the piano, my skills, but also spiritually to be ready for if he calls me tomorrow to go somewhere, I'm ready. And I mean, of course, I won't forget about these peeps, the ones I've hurt.
They would.
The ones I've hurt, because these are the same people who have always been there. You guys, Elias said, I remember you guys would always try to talk to me, and I didn't care. I'm don't talk to me. I'd have that don't talk to me face, and you guys obviously pray for me. You guys have cried for me, and I'm beyond grateful for all of you guys.
We love you.
And yeah, of course, I never forget you guys.
You better not. No, it's just people don't understand it. Cuando tú estás en la iglesia, ¿verdad? Y tú tienes estas ciertas personas que tú ves todos los días. Literal, cuando yo estaba creciendo en la iglesia, tú lo ves teníamos martes, discipulado, miércoles, iglesia, jueves, práctica, viernes y después domingo. So you always in the church. So this is the people that I grew up with for 13 years. So no hay ninguna manera para esquivarlo. So you become very close friends. Y es como que te conviertes en una familia completamente. Se me hacía más fácil yo tener la confianza con ellos, que con mis amigos de afuera, porque está bien, yo los tengo, yo los vi a la escuela y todo eso, but it's just like, I see these people and it's a different connection. So, todos nosotros somos sobreprotectivos con cada uno de nosotros. I know that nosotros nos peleamos, nos decimos nuestras verdades en la cara, but we're the biggest support system that we have in each other. Yo sé cuando la promesa de este podcast, eso va a ser una pregunta, like, una de las personas que dijo, aquí estoy, fue Santiago, y la única, además de JJ, de las personas que se ha mantenido, es Santiago.
After the 5-month mark.
After 5 months, okay? He had a gap. First of all, I always think that Santiago, algo pasó en eso, pero yo todavía estoy investigando qué pasó en ese tiempo, because he told me another reason, but we're investigating. But the only person was him. Like, I have other friends, and like life happens, and it's super hard to like actually coger con compromiso. Like, coming here every single week is not easy. Mm-hmm. Literalmente sacar tiempo de tu tiempo, venir aquí, sentarte, prepararse la semana, orar, nosotros oramos, leer la palabra y todo eso, it takes so much time. Es un compromiso más. Nobody's gonna do that. Like, nobody that, like, they can be your friends, they will not do that. So, just for him to do this, just like, I'm greatly appreciated, like, completamente con todo el corazón apreciada. Y es una cosa que quería preguntar, like, why? Like, why you decided, like, okay, I'm gonna do this with you? Like, why are you doing this?
Make up for the gap.
I believe it.
No, because you guys, from day one, have always been #1 supporters. Like, anything I've ever needed, you guys have always been there. And when you received that promise from Pastor Juan, saying that you were gonna create a podcast, and I was one of the people that you said, like, oh, let's make a podcast. Like, I want to do a podcast. You had recorded like some bobaditas ahí, pero I'm like, from that moment, I'm like, I'm gonna help. Like, I don't care like what I need to do, but I want to help. And I remember, like, if you turn the camera around, we were literally sitting all right there with the third pod, and I'm like, seeing from how we were to what we are now, it was definitely worth all the time, all the money. And I'm like, even though you always say this is like a group thing, I always feel like no matter what, there's always like your big dream. And like, I see Enid Talks going way beyond than these four corners. And I'll always be here to support you, to bring you to higher places, to be your roadie.
Starts crying. No, and it just, you know, it hasn't been an easy process. Like, we're gonna have a whole episode talking about el apoyo fraternal, porque literalmente el apoyo fraternal, aunque dicen, oh, todos somos cristianos, estamos en una comunidad cristiana, you're not gonna receive all the support from those people. Like, el enemigo usa a las personas más cercanas a ti para ir contra ti. So, we had tuvimos un tiempo que no podíamos grabar, muchas cosas pasaron, y lo que yo le pedí al Señor es como que, Dios, ¿quién tú quieres ahí? Like, who do you want? Like, teníamos como 5 personas más que estaban en el group chat, and I was like, who do you want? Y literal, at the end of the day, it was just us 3. Like, literal, Jose y Santiago.
Like, you don't understand, like, it wasn't like, oh, like a 1-2. No, we had been recording stuff for like 5 months.
Yeah.
The week after the podcast, or the promise, we had started recording. But the first pod didn't come out till when? It was like September
18th.
September 18th, and it was us 3. Out of all that stuff we shot it, like, something had always gone wrong.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it had gone wrong for, like, a purpose, because it wasn't meant to be.
Y literal, ahora, ¿sabes? Nosotros recibiendo esa invitación, simplemente, like, una invitación nosotros. Like, un podcast recibiendo una invitación a una iglesia, it's mind-blowing. Y literal, ¿quiénes son? Nosotros 3. Picture of JJ, just the 3 is JJ, okay? He identifies the 3 today. JJ. Pero, literal, like, esto hace una promesa que yo siempre estoy muy, 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 muy agradecida con Santiago y con José, que han retomado con ellos y literal han hecho su propia promesa. Y aquí está. Like, Santiago es una persona, como les digo, lo conozco de hace años, es nuestro hermano, nuestro amigo del alma. Ha pasado procesos como todos nosotros, ha pasado un gap, o sea, no es perfecto, pero Dios lo ha aguantado y le ha retomado completamente su identidad a lo que es ahora. Y para la penúltima, dos más, ¿qué tú haces para mantenerte con Dios? Y la última, ¿qué consejo tú le darías a las personas que están mirando que han pasado algo similar a ti?
So, I the question I really liked from the question night, the light pod was, how long do you pray? I feel like a better question is, how long do you be intimate with God? How long are you intimate with God? Because I feel like that question applies more with me. For the fact, like, obviously I pray, like, not to like, oh my bad.
No, you're good.
Not to like flex or like be like, oh, like, look at me, I do this. Like, I like pray at night, pray in the morning, and pray before I eat, obviously, giving thanks. But the majority of the time that I spent intimate with God personally is worship. That's my number one. Like, I can't pray or praise unless I have some sort of music. And I literally, my mom could testify, I literally look like a crazy, like, I could be up at all. I'll put some headphones, put some music, and just like start walking around my room, because I can't stay still. Like, I need to be active, like, constantly worshiping. And it would honestly be like that for hours. Sometimes it'll be like half an hour. Sometimes I've like done periods like 1 hour, okay, another hour, okay, another hour. And that's usually my conversation with God, like giving it all. Like, if I'm asking for if la canción está pidiendo que más de mí, más de ti, menos de mí, I'm like, God, like, I want more of you. I don't want just everything I be just like from it to come from me, but like, I want you to fill me up so I could like help out others within the podcast. That when I play piano, it's just not me playing piano, it's me like ministering people who need to hear, like, have like some sort of connection with you. Or like with any words I might give, like devotion and stuff. I don't want to be like giving a random devotional like ChatGPT, like what is this? What's intimidad? Like, I want the words to come directly from you. So that's like my number one thing is worship. And that's like why I always like give an emphasis on, because worship to me is the foundation of everything. That's literally the Our Father, who thou art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, holy be thy name. Basically, the Our Father starts with worship. God, you are holy. And that's why I always emphasize on is worship. And for people who have experienced something similar with me, is never forget where you came from. Because obviously, we're all going to go through our stuff. Obviously, we're all, sometimes with the heat of emotions, we're going to like say stuff or do stuff we don't mean. But take a time to self-reflect and remember where you came from. Like, who are you? Who is Enid? Who is Santiago? Who is Josian? Who is Fulano?
Valenciano.
Like, remember, like, all the promises that God has completed in your life. And remember, they were not just completed because you're like, oh, you asked, like, okay, done, one-time favor. No, they were made for the glory of God. And it's just that time of self-reflection that you remember what your identity is. It's not just like your identity changes. You don't define who you are. God says who you are, and through those promises, through that self-reflection, that's who you remember who you are. So that always starts in the intimate life. It could either start with a prayer, worship, a preaching, or even God could use one of your friends. So never forget who's around you, because even though you might feel like you need to be alone, that you're better off alone, no, God placed the people you're with there for a reason. They're not just there just to be there. They're there to be with you, to pray with you.
Sí.
And those define who your real friends are. When they're there, that's why that's like why like God's purpose. Like they're there to be there with you, to fight battles with you, that make sure you're not alone. So that's mi consejo.
This is the most Santiago has talked in a podcast. I just want to say, you're welcome. So, un poquito de Santiago, de la vida de él, cómo creció, por qué tuvo el gap, qué pasó, qué experiencias tuvo, testimonio, etc. Si tú tienes otras preguntas para Santiago, put it down below. Ask him anything. He's an open book. Don't ask him weird things, but ask him anything. He's an open book.
Ask me anything.
Anything. So sí, espero que le haya gustado este episodio. Please like, comment, share, subscribe. Like the video. It helps the algorithm. Leave a comment down below. Subscribe and join the Eniders family. And share it to your friends and family. Maybe one of your friends, one of your family members went through an exact same situation as him and needs to hear how to get out of there. Or si quieren ser nosy, presentado como todos nosotros, le puedes mandar para que conozcan quién es Santiago de verdad. Así que espero que la paz de Jehová, esa que no añade tristeza, esté con usted en todos momentos. Y si en este momento tú quieres recibirla a Dios como tu único y exclusivo salvador, lo puedes hacer sin estar en cuatro paredes. You can just literally kneel and ask God, enter my heart. I need you. I need a change. Give me peace, and he will do that. Los espero todos los domingos, 8 p.m. God bless you guys. Bye. I feel like I know you now. Imagine.